Hi, everybody. Hi, Taurus. We are looking at the final quarter of 2018. So that's October, November, and December. We're a little way through October as I record this, but many of the themes will remain the same. So let's start with October. So you are so personally implicated here because you've got Uranus, which has been going retrograde in your sign, and it's gonna in this quarter go back into Aries, so back over your ascendant into your 12th house, and Uranus being the change bringer, it's going to redirect you. So if you think of how you may have been redirected last May, anything that really took a turn at that time, it may have seemed more subtle, maybe not, and it may just be one little tiny piece of your life, not your whole life, but in November, it'll redirect again, or it will continue at a faster pace. But because it's going back it's approaching your ascendant, going back into the 12th house, there is some thinking involved. And if it involves a project, so if this Uranus back and forth for you involves a project of any sort, it could be a writing, any kind of project, painting, writing, business, a new business or something like that. But it's I would say it's bigger than it is smaller in your life, and maybe you don't see the full implication of whatever this is yet to see how strongly it's going to influence your life, but whatever is happening right now for you is more impactful than it is less impactful. And so you may be rethinking a couple of things as we move toward the end of October into November. You may be reworking, is a good word, something that will launch or become more public in March of 2019. So there's something you're working on now. It could be your own image. It could be, like I said, it could be anything, but some kind of big project that you may start reworking in late October, November through the end of the year. And then in March of next year, it goes forward again, but with a big bang, a bigger bang. And so there was something you thought you were starting in May and in the intervening months, from May to now, where you're reworking, and then it will start, Aries and Uranus, and it will launch and become more public again in March of 2019. So that's just a big theme, and you see it in October, you see it in November, you're definitely going to be living through that in December, so it kind of covers the full quarter. Another thing you see in October and November is this Venus retrograde. And even when it goes forward again in November, it's in this area where it's opposing Uranus. And for you, because Uranus is on your ascendant, you've got Venus on your descendant, which is the area of relationships and partnerships. So you're reworking, rethinking something with a partner or about a partner. And you just have to get through this phase of retrograde through November, especially with the Venus aspect, and a little beyond. It really kind of takes up the rest of the year, this theme. So it could be a woman or women. You do have a very lit up 7th house of partnership. I think The best bet for a lot of Taurus people is you have more, and we're talking business in this case, more than one partner, more than one collaboration. There are a lot of people you're partnering, allying, affiliating, collaborating with. Now, in love, there's more than one partner, and it could be that you just have one love partner and the rest represent business partners. But with Jupiter here, there's a strong possibility that the Taurus heart is divided between and among many. So I don't know what that means for you. And again, it's not every Taurus. And again, each Taurus is going to have two other primary signs. You've got three primary signs: your sun sign, your rising sign, your moon sign. This mostly applies to the rising Taurus, although it can apply to the sun and moon sign in a lesser degree, but it's there for all of you. And again, it could be divided, the meaning could be divided between, oh, and by the way, I really burned the crap out of my thumb when I was cooking, so I've got this make do. I always use whatever's around the house, so I just realized it looks funny to wave it around, but yeah, it was a bad burn. And so what you do, I've been burned so many times, what you do is first you want to get it in something cold, the coldest thing available to you, whatever's colder than the air. So sometimes that's just the running water, to put it on as cold as possible. One time I burned my leg on a motorcycle in Jamaica and just jumped in the ocean and just stood there for a really long time. That was a really bad burn, but I slowed down the damage by finding something cold. And the coolest thing at hand was the ocean, even though it's not that cold in Jamaica. The other thing, of course, is aloe. We're just going to stop and have a burn lesson. Aloe. I haven't had liquid food grade aloe in the fridge, and so it's very liquidy. It's almost like the consistency of water. So this is soaked, this paper towel is soaked in aloe, and then honey is good for burns. So I've got raw honey and aloe, and then a hair squeegee holding that together. So that's going to be the funny thing on my hand, because I tend to talk with my hands. So anyway, let's get back to you. I just realized I have to explain this, because otherwise people are going to be like, what is that thing? So partnership, Taurus, what's been going on? You're the one who's had Jupiter in your 7th house this whole year, and you know what it's been doing for you. So when I think of some of the Taurus people I know they've partnered with new business relationships and gotten new jobs. So it can be, people just being attracted to you, and it increases your ability to attract people to you. So it can draw in business relationships to the degree that you get a new job if you want it, or if you need customers or clients, people tend to be attracted to you. I've also seen Jupiter here in the 7th house mean expanding issues in the marriage where things just go way over the top, and it can signal big problems that just spiral out of control. And so it just depends on the person. By now you know how it's impacting you in terms of your personal relationships and your business relationships. You've got some idea. So it's bringing luck no matter what. Sometimes if you have been laid off from a job, or with your partner on the job, things can sometimes spiral in a good way or in a bad way. It is lucky. Sometimes it's hard to see the luck and understand the luck, especially if you're getting divorced. Sometimes it's hard to see the luck unless you just see that it really is time, and that by acknowledging that it's time to break apart a relationship, you're doing the best possible thing. But at the same time, even as it may end relationships, it can be creating openings for new relationships. But that doesn't always translate to what you think it will translate to, especially as we have Uranus in your sign, where you're going to be very unpredictable. You're going to be all over the place, but in a way that ultimately will be refreshing for you and herald in a whole new era for you, for many of you in the zone of business relationships and personal relationships. So a lot of you will see some of these themes, like you will be getting a promotion, getting a new job, leaving a company you've worked with for a long time, finding new business relationships. Possibly for those of you who are younger or you've been single, maybe you're getting married. So I think for people who have been single or dating, this could show getting married. You'll know if you're moving in that direction. But you'll really know. It's not a guess at this point with Jupiter having been here so long. It's not like, yeah, maybe we just started dating. Yeah, maybe it's headed for marriage. No, do not. This is for people who've been dating for a long time. They know each other well. They've had full, frank conversations about marriage and about their dedication to one another. That kind of getting married, not the kind where you just met someone and you created a whole future in your head. No. That will lead to trouble. That will cause the wrong kind of escalation in a relationship. And you just and men and women both do this, where they sometimes create and fantasize about something that's not there. And just be mindful of, could that be true for you? And try to tone it down, because if you can keep your eye on reality, this is still a good time to attract the right kind of marriage partner, or just partner for you, love partnership. So try to keep a foot on the ground and be realistic and know thyself, and don't bet all your money on the wrong racehorse. I don't know if that's the right comparison, but don't put all your eggs in one basket. However you want to say it, but you can give me suggestions in the comments. But know thyself. Know if you've really just been dating a little while and you're just kind of fantasizing because you're in the honeymoon phase of dating. Things can quickly go south after a honeymoon phase. So, and that's normal. It's not shouldn't be a surprise to anyone if you've been out in the dating world for any length of time. There is this honeymoon phase, and you've got to be realistic and aware that exists, and things can change after the honeymoon phase. So just be cognizant of that, because if you can recognize, okay, maybe this isn't a long-term relationship, but if I recognize that earlier enough, I can cut my ties here, and there's still this great possibility of meeting somebody important to me who would be a long-term relationship. So be as realistic and have a strategy. Like, what are your goals for yourself in love and in business? What do you really want? In love, it's not good enough to just say, I want to get married, or I want to have a serious relationship. You've got to know more about what it is you want. Like, why do you want to get married? You need to know why. Do the work now. It could be very interesting for you in this last quarter, while we capture that last kind of glory of Jupiter here in the 7th house, as it goes into the 8th house of kind of digging into the psychology of it. I think it may be important for a Taurus who's single and really wanting relationship to do this kind of work. So let's think about how to think about this. So think about, really get a piece of paper and a pen or pencil or marker, whatever you got, and write out reasons, really think it through, dig. a little. Why do you want to get married? Why do you want a long-term relationship? Write some pros and cons. Don't just write the benefits. Write like, why, what would I lose if I got into a long-term relationship? What would I gain by staying single? Write out a little bit of both sides, because especially for people who are still single, who say they want a long-term relationship or a marriage, there's something you don't want to give up. There's something you stand to lose, or something that's going to happen if you actually get into a long-term relationship that maybe scares you or that you don't want. And it's good just to be more aware of that than unaware, because it could be that your lack of awareness is what's driving the car right now. And the more awareness you can put on any fears you have around getting into a real relationship for the long haul, if you can cast some light on that and then do some work around any fears or doubts, then you may clear them away and remove some of the obstacles that prevent you from getting into a relationship. So this is good work for the Taurus right now, the single Taurus who feels like they don't want to be single. You may surprise yourself if you start asking questions like, what's good about being single? What scares me about getting in a relationship? Why wouldn't I want a long-term relationship? What do I think? What beliefs do I hold around marriage or dating? And look at some of the negative ones. And I'm also a life coach. So there's a whole bunch of coaching exercises you can do around this. But this is just some suggestions to kind of scratch the surface of this. If your relationship is spinning out of control and you're in a long-term relationship, then I'm not going to, on this forecast right now, I can't do a lot to help you with that, because that's a bigger issue that maybe needs marital counseling, or you need counseling, or your partner needs counseling. But what I can say is, maybe to validate or console, is that with Jupiter, it is lucky, even though we don't always see the luck. We could feel devastated, we could feel very sad, but with Jupiter here, it's still lucky. And it's just hard sometimes to believe that that's true. But try to hang on to that. At least, if you can't fully believe that it's lucky, and it definitely doesn't feel lucky right now, just hang on to a statement less dramatic, like, I'm open to the possibility that eventually, after several years, many years, maybe I'll look back and see that this was lucky. So maybe you can't see oh yeah, this is my heart's being, dragged around and smashed. That's so lucky. You may not be able to see that, but try the mantra more like, this sucks right now. I hate it. This is not what I want. However, I'm willing to be open to the possibility that I'll look back at some point and see this was the right thing, and maybe even lucky. So try that on. I can't, once you're in the middle of something that's spiraling out of control, I can't tell you anything to stop that. You just gotta play it out and let it unfold, and follow your gut instinct. And gut instinct, not about what another person needs or about how to save something, but be looking more for what you need for yourself. And that can never be answered by controlling what someone else does or expecting something from someone else. Just look at what is it I need right now? What do I need? Do I need to be heard? Do I just need somebody to listen to me? Do I need nurturing? What is it that I need right now? And try to go inward about what it is you really need. And try not to make it about what another person can do for you, but just to identify the need. And then try to think about how you could give that to yourself. Listen to yourself. If you need to be heard, at least listen to yourself. But you need to take time, create time in your day to actually do that. And if you need nurturing, you need to create time in your day to actually do that for yourself. If you need a little rest, you need to create the time to give that to yourself. So Taurus, that's a lot about relationships, but that's a big focus for you. I do see, like, most of what I see in your chart has to do with changing of the guard at home. Like, and what that means to me is the way you picture home, your definition of home is changing. And that could be for a variety of reasons. Like if you're getting married, your idea of home changes because you're going from single to being a couple. If you're getting a divorce, your vision of what a home is changes. If your kids are going off to school, because you have two big heavyweight planets up in your ninth house of kids going off to college, or maybe you going away, moving to a foreign country, or going away to school yourself. And so that changes your definition of home. A lot of Taurus people out there may be thinking about moving a long distance. And that is a harder decision to make for you for some reason. And you may do it slowly, incrementally, move toward that decision to move further away. And it will be a slowly drawn out thing. But it does look a bit like fate, like you're meant to do this, whatever it is. But you're meant to go slow. There's a lot of focus on your career. A lot of energy you have right now to put into your career. So what I'm talking about is I'm really talking about every now and then I may focus in on 1 month in particular, but these are themes that play out through the quarter as well. We do have a changing of the guard with Jupiter. Jupiter's going to move from, where we were talking about in your 7th house into your 8th house in November. And whenever these planets move in, especially Jupiter, they seem to move really fast for a slower moving planet, and then it'll slow down and even go backward over the next year before it moves forward again. So something in November will move really quickly where you may get a bigger influx of money, more money coming in, more opportunity for money. And you will be kind of, because this is happening at a time when the sun is also going into your 8th house, and Mercury has been there, it's retrograde. There is some back and forth around money. So again, whether you're getting married or getting a divorce, or somewhere in between, you are taking a look at your finances right now, and there tends to be more money coming in right now, or the potential is there. Or you may just need to put a big spotlight on money right now and work out some kind of financial thing. It's going to be so different for each one of you, so it is vague sounding. But it's good to rework maybe agreements around money, rework your ideas around money, rework your tax scenario, rework your alimony agreement, rework any other divorce or marriage kind of agreement that wraps in finances. It's a good time to take a look at it, so don't resist that. I think you end up with a better solution to whatever it is that's going on for you financially. The word product almost came out, and so that's not an accident. For some of you, you get a better product. And I don't know what kind of product, but maybe some of you needed to hear that. If you rework something over the month of November, you come out with a better product. Your energy moves from your straight on career trajectory to future planning. So that kind of goes with the rework, right? You're moving forward with something. You're still moving forward with something that's going to impact your future quite a bit. And in order to move forward, you need to rework something around finances, a business model, a business relationship, a love relationship. So sometimes moving forward means going in and researching, analyzing, taking another look at something. That is forward movement, even though sometimes it feels like, oh, we have to look at this again, or it feels like slowing down sometimes, but it's really a part of moving forward. And these planets that are retrograde are never technically moving backwards. They're never doing that. It's more perception. So I would suggest that it's just a perception that you're slowing down or that you're going backward. The reality is you're still moving forward. There's so much about your future that's unfolding in a very magical way, but sometimes it feels foggy and hard to understand. And sometimes that's frustrating, but just trust. Just trust. Things are definitely happening, especially in career and relationships. With the suggestion that it's all lucky, even if not everything feels lucky all the time. Understand too that the jittery feelings, the anxious, the quick mood changes that can be occurring for some of you, it's just Uranus. And it's just energy. It's not you, like the core of your spirit. It's just, it can feel physical sometimes. It can feel emotional. And it's just a very quick changing, fast moving energy. And you're going to have it for a while, so just start to try to coach yourself to accept that this is your new normal for about 7 years. And as you adapt to it, it won't feel as jittery feeling. You'll start to adapt to it. Let's take a look at December. There's a big focus on school, teaching, learning, building something, publishing a website, building ideas, building out a teaching program, a learning program. So like we said earlier, some of you may be going to school, some of you may be the student, but some of you, part of what you're doing in your career has to do with teaching or helping others learn. So, you can kind of be on the lookout for that. But the 9th house, where this energy is also about marketing and advertising. So there are many ways that we market and advertise in our new reality, which is distinct from maybe 20 years ago. Certainly 20 years ago, we weren't seeing marketing and advertising so much online and using the internet. So a lot of this could be online stuff, online learning, online marketing, advertising, or it could be old school. We do have Saturn involved here, so there could be some old school stuff going on. But this is where you're meant to be focused in December. It's very appropriate to be focusing on something to do with school and learning and advertising and marketing, maybe publishing if you're a writer. And you're going to, by the end of December, you're going to be tired. And just be ready to rest. Just know you're going to have a lot of pent-up energy, but it's going to be time to rest by the end of December. And I think any relationships that seemed, unless it's even one where you're maybe divorcing or really separating in a relationship, you do get the gift of Venus conjunct the area where Jupiter was in October when we started this quarter. So it feels to me like stuff that maybe seemed off the rails a little bit in October, maybe even into November, stuff that seemed a little off the rails in relationships, there can be some healing toward the end of the year and a feeling that things are working out after all, even if that means you're still getting a divorce, but you're feeling better about where you are with the whole thing. Things feel a little bit better in whatever way they can. Or for those of you getting married, Venus going through your second house, your seventh house is a lovely time. And there's just this yummy feeling in partnerships and relationships in general. So relationships feel much better or still good in December. And then you have Venus in the beginning of the year. We'll jump ahead just a little, moving on in with Jupiter into your 8th house. So money's looking good. Definitely hold on to that. I know Taurus likes to have security and comfort around money. So money's looking good. Toward the end of the year, there's a lot of good stuff already there and a lot of promise of money coming in. I do feel like you need a rest though. So let's end there, Taurus. That is your final quarter in 2018. And just remember rest, and that if you start feeling like your moods are fluctuating a lot, or you're getting hot flashes or whatever, bodily disruption like not just any old, but heart palpitations, which you could always have this stuff checked out medically, but you may notice anxiety, some increased anxiety, mood swings. So these are usually, there could be a physical underlying cause, like something you need to get checked out with a doctor. There could be an underlying cause that has to do with your situation. So, for example, if you're going through a divorce, it would make sense that you've got maybe a little more anxiety or a lot more anxiety or mood swings. So some of it's situational, and it's a tip-off when you have these unsettling fluctuations that there are things in your environment that need to change so that you can begin to weed out certain things that need to be weeded out. However, you can't make Uranus go away here. So be also careful that you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, that not every person around you when you start feeling this way is like a bad person to have around, or you need to remove them from your life. Or if you feel this way at work sometimes, it's not necessarily your job. It may be just this new energy that's entered in to help guide you into whatever you're doing next, but it doesn't mean get rid of everything. Luckily for Taurus, you don't tend to do that. You tend to hang on to things too long. But Uranus is a different energy, and it can make people do different things. So just be mindful of that. There are some things that need to be shaken up in your life, and there are some things that need to go. But just be mindful. You don't want to throw out everything. You don't want to get rid of everyone. Maybe you do, but just be mindful that this energy is going to make you feel this way for a while, and it is to shake you up. It's to make you a little uncomfortable so that you change some things. But also remember, it's all lucky. All right, take care, guys.